Good morning. Today is Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. Update for Wednesday the 30th. All right, let's go. Well, as far as setups, let's keep this OUST. I actually like it even more now that it's knocked out again. This way, when you get a deeper pullback like this, if it triggers it, it's possibly the real deal. And if it doesn't trigger, then you don't put capital into harm's way, obviously. I'll flesh that out in just 1 second, too. New one in here, SLDP. Both of these are volatile. I nearly almost put volatile in here tonight, but I realize that you could see that for yourself. 104, anytime you have a triple-digit HV, that's always a little crazy. But you have structure. You have nice persistency. You've got acceleration. And then you got this nice, again, knockout move. My point being that when you close flat on the butt like this in a fairly serious pullback, if it goes all the way back up and triggers, then it might be a serious reversal back to the direction of the trend. Otherwise, it's just a reversal, and you don't put capital in the harm's way. SLDP, kind of a textbook-ish type of TK, tiny bit of a gap. I'm not going to get too excited about that, but the entry is right above the gap, right above the high, plus a little bit of wiggle room, and then stop down here around 3. And again, if something is wrong with the stock and it continues to implode, then again, no capital gets put in harm's way. As you can see, a lot of volatile stocks in here stacking up, a couple of crypto-related stocks, and IPO, there's an IPO, and there's another crypto stock. But let's go with OUST and the STLP as official quote-unquote setups going into tomorrow. Let's take a look at the portfolio. Not a fantastic day, obviously. BTM down a little, continues this consolidated here. You know me, I sure like to see it take off sooner rather than later. KGC, not a bad day there, not too far away from these all-time highs. KTO's getting whacked a little, but it's just consolidating at these high levels. One thing I talked about in the week of charts last week is the fact that as a stock moves in your favor, the point moves are going to get bigger and bigger, and you just have to ride those out. And that's why we take partial profits. It help dampen the equity curve a little bit. TFPM to the downside, that is. TFPM up a little bit, better than the poker now. It just continues to consolidate. Fine with me, build the base, and then launch into space. TJ, a bit of a disappointment. It's not fairly hard, so it looks like it has potential longer term, but I sure like to see it turn back up and bang out some new highs sooner rather than later. VG, nice little rally there. Outside day, better than the poke in the eye. Maybe it's bottomed out shorter term. Longer term looks like it's bottomed out. Let's take a look at the overall market, and then let's drill down a little bit into some sector action. First of all, S&P 500 opening, kind of an opening lap reversal, or maybe it's just a tiny gap if you squint your eyes, but it is an outside day down. Not the end of the world, but it felt a little uglier than a 1/3% loss. So that's a bit of a bummer. But so far, persistent breakout remains intact. It does, or could use a correction. I should say. Not that I wanted to correct, but correction would not be the end of the world. Nasdaq Composite opening gap reversal there, a little bit more obvious. Outside day down, only down 1/3%, but it just felt a little uglier than that. In a bull market, stocks tend to start weak and finish strong. In the bear market, just the opposite. But obviously, we're in a bull market. But this reverse behavior means that the market is in a little bit of a corrective mode. Take a look at the Rusty. Same sort of action happening there too. Rusty still has this overhead supply again to get through. EVA shares down a little. They've lost their breakout here, so they're back to wait and see mode, back in the range. Gold, the commodity, up a little bit. If you squint your eyes, gold stocks up a little bit more, and they're not too far from brand new highs. So far so good overall for gold. Semiconductors had a decent day, well off their best levels, but good to see a rallying once again. And this is enough to keep them at all-time highs. I sure like to see them clear this prior peak more decisively, but so far the breakout obviously remains intact there. Uranium coming in a little bit. Uptrend remains intact there. Lithium's been on a tear as of late. So far just pulling back in here. Pot stocks got whacked again, so looks like this is going to be more of a process than an event for this bottom to happen. So I wouldn't get too excited about going after those guys at this juncture, or at least for now. Biotech down a little bit in here. Still has this overhead supply to overcome, as I would say, quite a bit. So far, though, I'm still seeing a lot of momentum within the sector, but obviously check back often on that. The dollar remains strong off its best levels, but it's been strong last few days, obviously. Financials coming back in a little bit. They really haven't cleared this prior peak that decisively, but so far the breakout does remain intact. So a little mixed action today. Overall, things still look pretty good, and I am seeing setups, but make sure, obviously, you wait for entries on those setups while this, whatever's going on here, begins to shake out. How's that for a technical term? Everybody have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow, if not sooner. Thank you so much.